that did not go as planned. Huh. I wonder if we can fix this. Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wanted to go to a national park but it has a reservation system and you don't know it until you physically pull up to the park? You just happen to be passing by and you're like, ooh, that looks fun. But then you get there and you find out that you can't go in. Well, today we're gonna figure out what exactly you can do if you're faced with that situation. But we're gonna start off here at the Moab Information Center. Ooh, bunny, look at the bunny. Now, in part, I came here because I needed to get some patches, but also I wanted to get a little bit of information before we go out to the park. Now, when I pulled into the park, there was a flashing sign that said between 6 a.m. and 5 p.m. you had to have a timed reservation, and I didn't know that. So I wanted to come here and go ahead and pick these up because otherwise I would get these at the visitor center in the park. So it's about 4:30 right now. So I'm gonna get some cool context behind this area here in Moab, and then I'm gonna go back out to the park and see if we can't go to some of the small arches. I don't want to do a lot while I'm in this area. I'm just passing through, but it's always fun to see the park itself. So we got our patches now. Let's go seek out some knowledge. Okay guys, so inside this visitor center here, you can also get some brain wrinkles about what we're going to be looking at and also some of the things in this area. For example, did you know that Arches is actually super close to this? You've seen this picture before. You've seen it numerous places, but did you know they're only a few miles away from each other? And of course, there's more information on Dead Horse Point right here, but as you come into the centers, you get to learn a little bit more about what makes everything so important at the parks, and also some of the tips like this one right here. Now, I personally have been to Arches before, and it was a delightful trip, and so I know that you guys are going to appreciate and enjoy the park when you do come. But remember, check the website first, always, because the timed entry is just really nice because it helps you to not have to feel like you're pushed around. And you know, it can be an inconvenient thing, but if you're planning a trip in advance, it's just another step in the planning process. Another great reason to come to the information stops are always because they have great maps. Of course, I pack my own maps with me, so I don't need one of these, but I would definitely advise, if you're gonna be in this area especially, to pick up one of the Moab maps. It is very helpful, especially considering that cell service is kind of iffy in some of these areas. In fact, driving in, I had cell service and then all of a sudden it just cut off. It picked back up when I got into Moab, but if I would have been exploring the BLM lands outside, I wouldn't have known where I was going. Oh look guys, the information stop has one of our friends, Outdoor Element. We met him last year at Gutted, and this particular product is one that I actually carried in my van. Check this out though guys, this is the scenic byways of this area, and it shows you some of the awesome places that you can go. Look at this, so beautiful. And then also where you can find some of the ancient stories of this area with petroglyphs right there. Yes. In addition, they have things like this where you can learn a little bit more about the programs and other things that are offered in the area. So definitely something that is worth it. They have a museum, and then also they have like the Discover Utah with a kids focus right here. They have a junior ranger program which can be accessed either in park or at this visitor stop, and then it tells you about all the different things that you can do, such as climbing, horseback riding, and they even have the Jeeps. Now, if you didn't plan your entire trip before coming, this is a great way for you to plan it on the spot. So check that out. But let's pay for these. Okay, so now that we picked up our information, we're gonna head back out to the park. Again, after 5 o'clock, you can go in freely, before 6 a.m. or after 5. And that's how a lot of the national parks are starting to do. The main reason that they're doing that is because it was very congested in a lot of the more popular parks, like Arches. I know for a fact that whenever I went to Mount Evans and also Rocky Mountain National Park, it was the same way. But I will say this, as much as I was hesitant to jump on board and be excited about the timed entry, I really appreciate it. I know that's controversial, but I really appreciate it because whenever I'm in the park, I don't feel like I'm being pushed through the park by others. I also can park more easily and not have to worry about just circling a parking lot or choosing to miss a viewpoint. And I can take my time. Once you are in the park, you don't have to depart the park at any specific time. I know there's a lot of people who think that you have a specific window that you can visit only, but that's not how it is. It's a specific window for which you can enter the park. That way they can control some of the flow in and out. They know not everyone's gonna stay all day. So this limits the amount of people that are physically taking up those trailhead parking lots, those restrooms, the visitor center, and it allows a little bit of space. And I like that, because whenever I first started my channel, that was not the case. And I felt like at a few parks, and in fact, if you go watch some of those videos, you will see, I felt like I was just being rushed through things because somebody who didn't necessarily want to take as much time or might not have had as much time would be rolling through trying to see as much as they could. And I wouldn't have a pull-off to get out of their way because I couldn't find parking. And so I would then be pushed also. Otherwise I'd be honked at or people would be angry, and that was just not super fun. So how do you prevent this from happening to you? Do a little bit of extra research, book your reservation time, and then go to the park. With that said, let's go out to Arches. Now this sign right here is the one that flashes as you come into the park. So if you didn't see, they have some signs like this on the highway also, but if you missed those, this would be your first warning right here, and the entry is right down there. So they do have a few notifications for you if you are coming into the park to kind of give you a heads up before you have that frustration at the gate. But we are here past 5 now, and there is a line forming. Other people have the same idea I do. Now, just because you're coming after the reservation window does not mean that you don't have to pay to get in. You still do. And so, once again, here is my America the Beautiful Pass. This is my last month I can use this before renewing it. So for $80, you can enter into every park in the United States, almost. That is a nationally recognized site, but it also gives you some of the Department of Fish and Wildlife and things like that. You can also stay in the National Forest with this. So for $80, you can do that for 1 calendar year versus paying the entry fee to the park, which is usually between $20 and $30 per vehicle. Whew, it's a warm day here. It's a super warm day here. Oh wow. I would normally stay in the park a lot longer, but it is too hot to go on any of the long hikes today, that is for sure. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and while we're here, just swing in, see a couple of the smaller ones, and leave the rest for you guys to explore. Now, I did, again, come to this park previous, and I do have an older video from like the beginning of my channel right in the description box that I'm going to link, or in one of the card corners. So you can go check that out also. It was a great trip. I was here with my friend Anika. We explored Moab and then also went to the park, and we had a really great time. So I wanted to recreate some of those memories today for you guys, and then also address this whole park reservation system. I just thought it'd be easier to kind of explain by just doing it and going in. Whew, finally, there's shade. We're gonna just take a casual look at a couple of different locations here. Nothing too crazy, but it's gonna be epic. I guarantee it's gonna be epic. Now I think you can see from the map there's a lot of ground that you can cover, and you could literally spend an entire day here and not see it all. So us coming later in the afternoon, we're having to move with purpose. So the first stop that we're making is Balanced Rock, which is right here. Now there's a couple of other stops that I'll be making on the way out, but I wanted to make sure we saw Balanced Rock. And if you look on the map, it also has a corresponding area over here that tells you about the trail length, the description of it, and also if there's any special notes. Balanced Rock, I wanted to stop at because you'll notice that it is actually wheelchair accessible. It's handicap friendly. This is a 0.3 mile easy walk around the base of Balanced Rock, but if you don't feel like getting out and doing that 0.3 miles, you also have a couple of great viewpoints right here so that you can get some great pictures. Our national park system has made a lot of different kinds of efforts to make sure that everyone can see the park in a unique way. And whether you can hike out to the things or not, you still get some pretty fabulous viewpoints just from the trailheads. And so that's what I really like about this particular park, because just driving through it is like driving through a different planet. And some of the arches are visible from the roadway itself. That's a really, really neat thing. But I wanted to show you guys what this map looked like, and also a couple of other details so you would kind of understand the importance of why you want to go ahead, even if you're arriving late, to pick up one of these guys right here. It's going to help you so much. But let's go look at Balanced Rock. This one is a good one, guys. So there it is right there. This is the trailhead itself. You can literally stand here and see it, but I am going to get a little bit closer to show you what the trail looks like too. I think that this is one of my favorite things, is just kind of powering through some really pretty stuff and sharing it with you guys. So don't mind if I do. But before we do, there is actually a sign at most of these so you can learn a little bit more about them and what makes them so special. For example, right now we're looking over at this, and it looks a little bit different now. This was from 1975 to 1976. They had something called Chip Off the Old Block, which also stood here, and it was kind of a mirror of Balanced Rock. That has since fallen, however. You can see here that the total height of Balanced Rock is 128 feet or 39 meters, and the boulder itself is 55 feet and weighs 3,500 tons. Wow. Now, looking over this way, you'll see the path is nice and wide and paved, so it makes it super easy for us to explore. But sadly, guys, no bikes, no pets, and also because it's a national park, unfortunately, no drones. Now, since it is such a nice path, they do ask you to stay on it because the vegetation here is very sensitive. So stay on path, and you can appreciate this trail too. Okay guys, this is where the trail itself ends. Hi! But if you want to, you can go on this additional trail, which actually takes you up to the rock. Now, sadly, that part is not ADA friendly, so you do get some great vantage points and views, but you can't get right up to the rock. They use the natural landscape, which is kind of like this, and so they didn't want to pave through that, and I understand why. So this is pretty good viewpoint though. We're just like right here, and the rock is so cool. Okay guys, we're at stop number 2, and I'm going to stop at 2 different points at stop number 2. I'm going to go over to that side also, but we're going to start off on this side, which has the windows, and you can see them again from the trailhead, but you can also hike to them. So both of those are very large arches, to say the least. Again, this is what makes this place super accessible, because even if you can't go all the way out to the arches, which you can see is a pretty decent length out there, you can still see them, and you can see them vividly. Not to mention the ride here, if you haven't noticed, is filled with all sorts of amazing things. So coming here is definitely worth it, even if you only have a couple of hours to spend. It's something that, of course, I would encourage you to spend an entire day doing. But sometimes it just doesn't work out, like today when we didn't have reservations. Now, just across the parking lot from the last one, we have another one, and this is one of my favorites. So I am going to walk you guys out there so I can show you what it looks like. And it's 99 degrees today, so it's hot, so we brought some water. Now here we find out that this is Double Arch, and Double Arch has some trail information here also, but there is another sign also for Double Arch. But one of the things I wanted to definitely show you guys is at the bottom of this, it has a few things that are yeses and nos. For example, you need to drink water, stay on trails. You are not supposed to build small rock piles, and also you should be aware that there are falling rocks. During thunderstorms, you should not be in this area. And then no drones, keep off the arches, no ATVs, leave the plants alone, and don't leave your tag here. This is what the overall trail it looks like. It is 0.25 miles one way, so it is a 0.5 mile total trail, and the path itself looks like this. So while it's nice and wide at this point, it does collapse down a little bit as you get closer. Now, while this is a pretty decent service, it is a little bit more loose than the first one that we stopped off at. So definitely wear some good shoes. You're gonna need them for this one. But let me show you what this path looks like, and we'll get out to Double Arch. Again, it's one of my favorites here. I will say this, they have definitely improved this path since the last time I was here, and even though it's not perfectly level, it's nice. It's nice, guys. So guys, as you can see, it's gorgeous here, and again, this is my favorite out of all of them. It definitely is, because it's still accessible to us all, even though it's a little bit of a struggle to get here because there's some sand and uneven surfaces. This one is by far one of the more dramatic looking arches, and whenever you come out here, it's just, it puts everything into perspective of how large these things are. Now, normally I like to share all the details of how each individual thing was created, the history of the people that have been there, and everything like that. But today I just really wanted to focus on how you can have no reservations and have no problems coming to a national park and being able to still enjoy it. Your timetable might be a little bit more limited unless you're willing to wake up super early, but at the same time, you can make the most of it through small stops like the one that we are on right now. Right there. Look at that, guys. It's spectacular. Every time I see it, it just leaves me in awe. It's beautiful. It makes me smile with that permagrin that only nature can bring to you. Now, I will tell you this, there's a little bit of an advantage to coming later in the day. If you're wanting to see some of these spots like this one right here, it's not near as crowded. Not to mention, as the sun kind of hides, it feels a lot cooler. Remember, when we started this trail, it was 99 degrees. I don't feel like I'm near as hot and sweaty, even though I am still hot and sweaty, as I would be if I were in direct sunlight. So that is a big whopping bonus. Okay, adventurers, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up this video. It has been wonderful showing you guys how no reservation doesn't mean that you can't have fun in the park. In fact, no reservation, no worries, just come before 6 or after 5 and you can either have the whole day to explore, including sunrise, by the way, on that early time, or the later time where it's a bit cooler in the park. As you can see, the shadows are cast over all of the beautiful formations and it is absolutely epic. This needs to be on your bucket list. I know that this is one of my favorite cool places to come because it's just so unique and different, and the longer that you have to explore in the park, the better. And while exploring the park all day might be ideal, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So with proper planning, we're gonna cross our fingers that you can, but if you can't, I hope this video comes in handy to you guys. Remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time, and places like Arches National Park are that, exactly. No matter what your abilities, you can see something absolutely epic and you will not regret your visit. That is for sure. I have enjoyed doing this today and I hope you have. If you have, leave a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and take one last look as I bid you farewell. Bye guys!